Greetings and salutations, and welcome to that Inventor video. In today's video, it's a little bit more of a casual one-off. There's no lesson, no teaching. It's more just a bit of free-for-all and a bit more of an explanation of what I kind of did and how I really got into Inventor to start with. So a few years ago, I was doing a design GCSE. It was AQA's three-dimensional design. Just as you go on from like part of secondary school. Now I'm in college, moving on from here, and one of the parts I did was I started designing things, and it just became far easier when you could track parts, fixings, bolts, screws. Everything was kind of modelled there. You could put everything out in a parts list and just hand it to your design tech, who could get you any standard parts. Any parts you need from like Wix or like B&Q could quickly be done, which made live designing quite a bit easier. So my first prop design was in year 9, year 10, which is this table. This was something I really kind of roughly cobbled together, and it's relatively simple. It was just a table, and I just made some like truss legs, and these are probably some of the better legs I've made. Unfortunately not with Wildman's, because obviously my skill wasn't that good at the time. But for the time being, this is probably one of the best things I've ever made. I'm really happy with it. Got dovetail joins, all nicely constrained up decently well. And it actually looks quite nice. I could have lined it up a bit more. I think the angles were slightly off. But overall, this is my first project. And it's like I kind of started off with, because it was relatively simple shapes, single lines. I did use some sweets, but overall it's quite nice. The next project I went into was a lamp, and this was a pain to make. As you see, the bottom here was just like a little cable routing hole. I don't know what I was kind of thinking of. I think I was making a concept piece for a light, and so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make it out of metal because I don't know, it looked cool, and it kind of, in my opinion, does look cool. But it's not really feasible because that's a lot of metal. It weighs quite a bit, and obviously then got a light bulb in it. And the actual material here I made kind of in a bit of a weird, probably non-standard way of basically making a rectangle of extruded gears and then cutting, doing a rotate cut, revolve cut through around them to get into this material. Obviously it's kind of got loads of sharp edges and kind of unfinished. But that was kind of the theme of engineering. It's supposed to be rough. It's not supposed to be like soft and gentle. Then moving on, which is one of the things I actually have made. I might do another video in the future. And this is my main piece of coursework. And if I can't remember correctly, but I chose to do storage. And so I had some like to work with Ferris wheels. And so it kind of just went around there. Overall, this looks kind of cool. Making it was a little bit of pain. I should have done a slot and tag system reflecting on it to make these boxes join it better. But overall, works really well. In the future, I might upload a video of me explaining going through my design work. And my proudest thing is I went back to this and I actually started playing with it, and I actually had it to properly animate, properly rotate, which is probably the single most satisfying thing I've done. And then I left it render for 9 hours, 100 iterations per frame, so like 300 odd like individual pictures to stitch together. And oh my word, it looks absolutely beautiful. And I think overall the copper I think I used in this model was just more to make it stand out, but I did use steel. It was a pain to actually cut the threads onto them because I had to do it all by hand, and I was using stainless, which is not the highest of metals when you're cutting it with an angle grinder, or I was using a like specialized metal cutter. It gets really hot, which work hardens it, which made my life really difficult. Kudos to Mr. Ely, if you're watching. Doubt it, but kudos to him for actually getting me started on those because they were really hard to. And then the actual base, I used diamond plate steel, but this is more just to help with the angle constraint. And the last but not least thing I actually made was my B-board, and this is kind of a little bit of a dysfunctional state because the whole point of my B-board was an individual like weekly calendar, so each was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next week, this week, next month, or this year. I can't remember, but overall had different periods of time. I was meant to just kind of keep organised, put letters on, put stuff where needed to be. That kind of organised. I did end up laser cutting it. I made it out of cork. And so I kind of made a lot of adjustments here. I use a plywood backing. I have a steel frame. This is just me mocking around with frame generator because frame generator unfortunately didn't do the size steel. It only did stuff that was considerably too thick. But overall, this is kind of me just like, hey, this works, this is cool. I'm just learning some new skills in Inventor. And so I made a cool frame. Unfortunately, it duplicated everything. But, you know. Yeah, made the B-board, did the exam, did a small reduced project where you basically have to do a little bit of research, design, explain your design, justify parts list, and then in the exam I actually built it. Now, it's a little bit strange because as in the exam you can actually walk in with some prefabricated parts, so I already made the steel frame, a lot of the board was cut. I just had to cut the cork and laser engrave all the days of the week and other details onto it. But overall, this is kind of like all the projects I did for my exams and how I really got into it. And it saved me a lot of time because some of the students who didn't use Inventor had no parts lists, didn't really have any organisation, whereas this, super easy if you know what you're doing with it. As long as everything's labelled and done correctly, which I probably wasn't here because I'm still learning. I'm still learning now, but I'm way better than I used to be. But now it's got to a point where if I do any more designing, it's way easier to do. I'll bring up my mic stand maybe in another video. I might actually post a picture and talk about it. I might get a camera out and talk about it. But thanks for listening to my little Autodesk Inventor design journey. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.